This week's episode is brought to you by Crown Haven Wealth Advisors, your retirement reimagined. Coming up today on RetireSHIELD TV.
So, a Black Swan event in finance is a rare and unpredictable event that we do not see coming. Examples of Black Swan events could be the Great Depression, the stock market crash of 1987, the dot-com bubble, the housing crisis. Do we want to leave the sum total of our life's energy at risk to that? How you manage for that is you use different asset locations that are not susceptible to that risk. And that's really why we created the RetireSHIELD in the first place. It is to ensure, without a shadow of a doubt, that all of our clients are going to be okay regardless of what's going on in the external world.
Knowing people and building trust. Get on the right path to achieve your retirement goals with Casey Marx and the team at Crown Haven Wealth Advisors. Understand the process and challenges of retirement planning. Discover the keys to a successful retirement.
Hello, and welcome to RetireSHIELD TV. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by the founder and CEO of Crown Haven Wealth Advisors and creator of the RetireSHIELD process, Casey Marx. Casey is not only the author of Baby Boomer Retirement Bootcamp, he is also a retirement income certified professional, as well as a certified financial fiduciary. It is good to see you, Casey.
It's good to see you again, Morgan.
So today we are going to be discussing Black Swan events. So Casey, what are Black Swan events and how do they impact our viewers' retirement?
So I think it's important first to kind of back up and explain where this came from in the first place.
Sure.
So a Black Swan event was first coined by a brilliant economist. His name is Nassim Taleb. And it explains rare and unpredictable events that markets simply do not price in. And where it comes from is before we had the ability as a world to sail around the world in ships, we thought all swans were white. And then we had the ability to travel down to Australia, and we saw that there were some swans that were black, hence the name Black Swan event. So a Black Swan event in finance is a rare and unpredictable event that we do not see coming. Examples of Black Swan events could be the Great Depression, the stock market crash of 1987, the dot-com bubble, the housing crisis, more recently COVID, even more recently the bond duration problem at Silicon Valley Bank. These are things that are not built into traditional financial modeling that, quite frankly, markets don't see coming and traditional financial advisors don't see coming.
Well, and you think about it, the one thing that you want to do is you want to have certainty in your retirement, and Black Swan events, that is uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen, so how do you prepare?
Well, how you prepare, first of all, is you want to understand that these are always going to be a part of the equation. So just acknowledging the fact that this is something that is not just possible, but it's probable to occur is the first step. Then you have to, at a very basic level, ask yourself the question, how much is my time worth? We've spent so many years accumulating resources so that, and for most investors, like 99.9% of investors, investing is for income later, or it's for legacy, right? But for most people, it's for income later. And that's because when we stop working, we're going to need to be able to generate income so that we can maintain our quality of life. So at a very basic level, we need to ask ourselves, knowing that there are events that are going to occur that we cannot foresee, that no one can foresee, that there is no crystal ball that tells us about this. Do we want to leave the sum total of our life's energy at risk to that? How you manage for that is you use different asset locations that are not susceptible to that risk. So one location could be a bank. Now, clients might look at the bank and go, why would I want to put my money in the bank? Well, if it's FDIC insured, it's safe, right, and it's also liquid. And the thing about retirement planning is not all of your money needs to be growing at 10% a year. People think, and this is also a problem, people think that they need to be hitting home runs, when in reality, you just need to be hitting singles and doubles consistently. So proper asset allocation is very important. Banks are great for a portion of your assets. Then you have insured accounts offered by insurers. It's in the name. They ensure the safety of your money and they give you certainty of outcome. And that's really the foundation of our three-bucket approach. We ensure that our clients have enough funds in the bank to handle emergencies because there are going to be events that we can't see coming. We ensure that they have enough money in insured accounts that give them certainty of outcome. And then we determine what their risk capacity is, and that's your ability to take on risk in the first place. Understanding that you're going to have to take income, or legacy might be important, and taxation is going to be a problem, and inflation is going to be a problem, all these other things. And if your possible losses exceed your capacity, that's a problem. And I'm here to tell you that most people watching right now, your possible losses exceed your capacity. And that's an issue. So we build out the portfolios in order to solve for that, which allows us to land the plane.
Well, I love the baseball analogy because people want to hit home runs. Home runs are sexy, right?
Yeah.
But if you can get on base 3 times out of 10 opportunities,
you're winning.
You're going to sign a huge contract if you're a major leaguer because you're going to be hitting around 300.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is, especially after major losses that happen in the market, and this is the other fallacy, these last couple of years, right? 2020, there were losses, and then the Fed came in, and then the market shot through the roof because of the monetary supply. And then a lot of people experienced losses at the end of 2021, 2022. It was a poor year for people out there. So the natural inclination is I need to hit a home run to get back to even. That is literally the worst thing to try to do when you're in the retirement red zone and you're 10 years pre-retirement, 10 years post-retirement. Because if you take a 30% decline, it takes a 43% gain to get back to even. It typically takes multiple years to do that. And what happens if you experience another 30% decline during that period of time? And I've never met anybody that wants to, go work at the drive-thru or be a Walmart greeter or whatever in retirement. And this is the sad truth, but it's the truth. Yeah. Corporate America is not looking to hire a 70-year-old human being. They're not looking to hire a 75-year-old. That's just not the way it works. So then if you have to go back to work in retirement, this is very serious. So then the decision point becomes, do I reduce my standard of living significantly? Do I live based on my Social Security, which, by the way, maybe that's enough. Most likely it's not, and we hope it's going to be funded. This is real. And a lot of folks just want to, and it's human emotion. They want to get back to where they were, but a lot of times the power of zero is so much more important. Not going backwards, locking in where you're at, ensuring that you can use that to make sure you can maintain your standard of living. And when you work with retirement planners that really know how to do this, we show people what is possible every day, and they are so happy that they have come in to see what we can do for them.
So let's kind of throw in RetireSHIELD. How is that going to help with this issue?
Well, number one, when you work with a retirement planner that has focused their entire practice on doing this the right way for people, you're going to see results and a certainty of outcome that you've never seen before. You quite literally can't get to the same result when you're using a different tool. So the financial advisor you might be working with, or if you've been trying to figure it out on your own, or if you've been reading the media and what they say you have to have in order to retire. You need $3 million, you need $5 million to take 2% of that and be able to kind of live. Well, it's all based on the presumption that you need to keep your money in the world's largest casino. That's simply not the case if you use the proper tools. So what we show people on a daily basis is not only do you not have to get back to even, you're fine exactly where you're at, and guess what? You can enjoy your life. And you should see the shoulders just drop when we show people this. and it's certainty. And that's why when we deliver our RetireSHIELD plan, which is a 90-page custom document, folks are smiling. I mean, we ran an ad campaign like 3 or 4 years ago, and it was like, the market's crashing, why are our clients smiling?
We're about to take a quick break, but if you want your own personalized RetireSHIELD plan or a free copy of Casey's book, Baby Boomer Retirement Boot Camp, make sure to call the number on your screen to talk with one of our representatives, or you can visit our website, RetireSHIELD.tv.
Memories with Grandpa.
My first job.
My fourth job.
Crazy road trips.
Our first date.
Meeting our son.
Exploring our world.
Our world. Family and friends.
Our special song.
Secure your retirement by meeting with your local, independent, and fiduciary advisor at Crown Haven. Take advantage of your complimentary relationship visit by calling Casey Marx and the team at Crown Haven today.
Hello, and welcome back to RetireSHIELD TV. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick, and as always, I am joined by the founder and CEO of Crown Haven Wealth Advisors and creator of the RetireSHIELD process, Casey Marx. Casey is a retirement income certified professional as well as a certified financial fiduciary. So Casey, before the break, you were discussing Black Swan events and how unexpected economic, political, or social events can have a significant and detrimental impact on retirement savings. But like you were saying, RetireSHIELD is able to protect your clients in that hard-earned money.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really why we created the RetireSHIELD in the first place. It is to ensure, without a shadow of a doubt, that all of our clients are going to be okay regardless of what's going on in the external world. And there's a lot of uncertainty out there. And guess what? There's always going to be a lot of uncertainty out there. But here's, I think, the more important point. Regardless of the uncertainty that exists, our clients are at a very important time in their lives, whereupon, just from a numbers perspective, there are a lot of issues that they're facing. They're going to be drawing money from their retirement savings in order to maintain their standard of living and quality of life. And when that happens, it's a totally different phase than your accumulation phase or your growth phase, when you could stand, maybe you didn't like to, but stand to ride out, after you've experienced a 20, 30, 40% loss. Now, you just can't simply afford to do that. And by the way, folks with $1 million portfolios, $2 million portfolios, $3 million portfolios, $5 million portfolios, they think they're impervious to this. Guess what? They're not. Because, it's very interesting over decades of doing this, standard of living is all relative, right? So, but getting back to the distribution phase, you're now having to contend with income taxes. You're having to contend with inflation. You're having to contend with healthcare, age-related expenses. You're having to contend with the volatility if you're going to maintain yourself in that casino, and multiple other things. And from a very basic level, it's just, do we want to keep our funds exposed to this type of uncertainty when we know that human beings are uniquely inept at predicting future outcomes? Nobody has a crystal ball. And, the analogies we use to kind of help people understand this is, at a very basic level, how much of your money should be green money, how much of your money should be red money. Green money is money that you can't afford to lose, regardless of whether or not you want it for income or legacy or spousal continuation. Maybe you want to make sure if you pass away, your wife's going to be okay, or your husband's going to be okay, or your kids are going to be okay, or for income or whatever. There's a purpose for that money, and it needs to be green money. It needs to be safe money. Red money is money that you're comfortable going to the gambling table with. But I've never met anybody that goes to Vegas and puts their entire retirement savings, on a roulette wheel. But in reality,
play it on black, right?
Yeah. Nobody does that. But in reality, I mean, if we were to imagine that the stock market, we're the world's largest casino, because it is, people are betting against each other. Number one, at best, you have an amateur poker player playing against the professionals with your retail wealth advisor. They're amateur. And by the way, they don't have time to research the way the professionals on Wall Street do. They're there to provide service and a relationship. They're not there for investment prowess. So that's number one. Number two, what's true about casinos? The house always wins, right? So if we continue with that casino analogy, when you walk into that casino, there is an expectation of risk that you are taking that you are comfortable with. Our clients, when they come in, prospective clients, they're not even sure of how much risk they're taking. Why? Because the amateur that's considered a professional in our industry hasn't shown them what that risk is. And what they're getting is the equivalent of that amateur poker player charging them a fee to sit down at the poker table with them to play against other professional poker players, knowing the house always takes a rake. Why would you want to do that when you know, to use the same analogy, 2 hours from now, you're going to want to leave the casino and get a steak dinner with your wife?
I tell you, Casey, when you think about it, there are many people out there that, as you described, have that $2-3 million portfolio, and they feel like they're the cat's meow. Nothing's going to happen. But a portfolio doesn't equate to a plan.
There are a reason that some of the wealthiest people in the world use the same tools that we use for our clients. And, you know, by the way, some of the world's greatest asset managers wish there were an insurer that were large enough to insure them. They have to go through a whole bunch of machinations to try to create a 7% or 8% return for their high net worth clients. But there simply aren't insurers large enough to insure them. Our clients, the folks that think, you know, before they meet us that they are the cat's meow, that have $3, $4, $5 million, some of those higher net worth individuals, they still have the luxury of having someone that is larger than them that will insure them, that will then allow them to gain 5, 6, 7, 8% on their money. And if you gain 5% on $5 million annually, that's one heck of an income. If you gain 5% on $1 million annually, that can fill an income gap with Social Security, right? It solves the problem and it eliminates the variability of outcome. And by the way, you're saving on the fees. So it's illogical to use tools that do not create the outcome that you're looking for.
All right, well, let's work RetireSHIELD in. How is it going to help us with the issue?
First step in our RetireSHIELD process, obviously from a relationship standpoint, is we want to get to know you. We want to put together a plan that is in direct concert with what you're trying to accomplish. From a practical application standpoint, the first stage, and there's an order of operations for this, not an order of importance because all these areas are important, but secure income planning is the first step. And the reason it's the first step is because if you don't have secure income in retirement, then you're not particularly concerned about taxes at that point. So it's very important to make sure that we have a secure income plan. So relationship visit, we build out the retirement map, you know exactly what's going to happen, and then we service it with the level of integrity and care that, quite frankly, is very rare in our industry.
With that, we are about to take a quick break. But before we do, I wanted to remind you to join the thousands of Hoosiers that have, already gotten into this shielded retirement. Well, folks, here it is, RetireSHIELD Plan. Our lines are always open, so call the number on your screen to talk with one of our representatives or visit our website, RetireSHIELD.tv, for your own personalized RetireSHIELD plan or that free copy of Casey's book, Baby Boomer Retirement Boot Camp.
Do you know what that sound is? It's me traveling the world. Europe to Asia. I'm vacationing and living the retirement of my dreams because I just met with my advisor at Crown Haven. They helped me turn my nest egg into a golden egg. Take advantage of your complimentary relationship visit by calling Casey Marx and the team at Crown Haven today.
Hello, and welcome back to RetireSHIELD TV. I'm consumer advocate Morgan Patrick, and as always, I am joined by the founder and CEO of Crown Haven Wealth Advisors and creator of the RetireSHIELD process, Casey Marx. Casey is a retirement income certified professional as well as a certified financial fiduciary. Now, throughout the show, Casey has highlighted the impact of Black Swan events and how these unpredictable events can lead to a considerable loss in retirement savings. And that being said, as Casey mentioned earlier, the 5-step RetireSHIELD, that process secures his clients' retirement savings. So with that, let's get into some RetireSHIELD TV viewer questions. So this is going to be exciting. So remember, you can ask Casey your retirement questions by going to retireshield.tv and filling out the TV question form. All right, so first up, here we go. This is Nicole in Noblesville. I know predicting market crashes is extremely hard, but is there any planning advice you can provide to help mitigate large losses in a market crash, if a market crash does occur?
Well, Nicole, I want to thank you for filling out our form and giving us this question. It is incredibly difficult to predict market crashes. And the first thing that I would say is that although we follow the macroeconomy, we follow technical trends on a daily basis at our firm, honestly on a minute-to-minute basis at our firm, we can't predict the outcome just like anybody else can't predict the outcome. So how we plan for that is we ensure that our clients have the proper asset location. And what that means in a very basic way is that you have some money that should be set aside for emergencies in a bank. You have some money that needs to be insured to create the retirement income that you need so that you can maintain your standard of living. And only once those two asset locations are completely full and you know that you're going to have certainty in your retirement, do we then move to the world's largest casino. Because to your point, Black Swan events exist. They're always going to exist. Even in a good market environment, most of our clients, most people can't afford to go backwards. And so the amount of money that is susceptible to losses should only be the amount of money that and this is key also, that you can afford to lose. And that's how you handle for that. You simply use the proper tools to achieve each outcome. And that's quite frankly the problem with the financial advice industry, because most folks just don't want to use those tools.
And you need to have that custom plan put together for you, because your puzzle pieces are going to be different from anybody else's.
And that's a great point. What I would recommend is that you reach out to us and you have a relationship visit where we get to understand, first of all, who you are on a human level, because that's what's most important, what you're trying to accomplish. And only then can we begin to put together a plan which is in alignment with what you want your life to look like. And that's how we go through our process.
All right, let's get to another question. Joshua is in Carmel, and Black Swan events usually occur during systematic failures within institutional systems. And when this occurs, is there anywhere that is safe to place my retirement funds?
Well, Joshua, I want to thank you for your question, but I would almost rebut that notion. So Black Swan events don't always occur just due to systemic issues. I mean, the most recent examples that we've had, the financial crisis was a systemic issue due to real estate. Silicon Valley Bank was a duration issue. But there's another way to look at this. There are social Black Swan events. There are personal Black Swan events. Only God knows when we're going to pass away. Healthcare. What happens if you get sick, right? So there are Black Swan events that we don't see coming in our own lives, loss of a job, that we need to plan for as well. So I think when we talk about Black Swan events, a lot of times we focus on the quantitative. We focus on the numbers, we focus on the institutions, but it's equally important to look around the corners of what could happen in our own lives and ensure that we're making a plan that is bulletproof for those things as well. Now, to your question, is there anywhere safe to place your retirement funds? Yeah, there is. There are FDIC insured savings accounts for non-qualified assets. There are insurance products that guarantee the safety of your assets in any market environment. And the reason that they're safe is because insurers have to maintain a 1-to-1 solvency ratio. In other words, they have to have enough capital to back their liabilities. And if they didn't have that, they wouldn't have a business model because they have to pay out death claims. So from a basic safety standpoint, there are multiple places you can put your money and have it be guaranteed to be safe. The question just becomes, are you working with a planning firm that has access to those tools, the subject matter expertise to use them properly, and will guide you proactively to use those tools before an issue becomes an issue? Because what we know about Black Swan events is that we don't see them coming. So what's important is to put the plan in place with the assumption that things are going to happen and ensure that when those things do happen, it doesn't ruin your retirement.
Got time for one more real quick one. Justin in Lebanon. During market crashes, would you advise selling out of your positions after, say, a 10% loss already, or is it better to kind of hang in there?
That is a very difficult question to answer. Now, there is no blanket answer that you can give to this. This is highly personalized for each individual based on your income needs, your time horizon, all of the things that apply directly to you. What I would also say is that from a macroeconomic perspective, it depends on where the world is at. But really, to bring it back to just the basics, you have to look at the utility of your money and what you need it to do for you. If you have $1 million portfolio and you've lost $100,000 and you have $900,000 and you know that all you need is a 5% return on that $900,000 to create the income that you need in order to maintain your standard of living in retirement, then there's no reason to keep that at risk. There's no reason to write it out from a basic pragmatic standpoint, if you look at it just logically. That then becomes a choice if you want to do that or not. So that's why the diagnostics that we do are so important, because we give people the freedom of choice based on data. And the data is the most important thing, to have optics on your numbers and how they relate to what you want your life to look like.
Good stuff. Love the Q&A. Well, that's all we have time for, and we have for today. And we'll be back next week. But if you are looking for peace of mind in your retirement, don't wait. Remember, our lines are open 24/7. So call the number that's on your screen right now or visit RetireSHIELD.TV for your free copy of Casey's book, Baby Boomer Retirement Bootcamp, or to have a personalized RetireSHIELD plan created for you by Casey and his team of financial advisors.